code is 0884.
Thank you.
Gunshots. It's the deadliest drug epidemic in American history.
The internet, the dark web, traffic drugs into people's homes all across America.
Right now, someone can go on social media and have the world's deadliest man-made poison delivered right to their house. It's easier than ordering a pizza.
One pill can kill.
And now fentanyl is being used as a weapon of choice to brutalize people.
There are believed to be multiple crews targeting and drugging victims before robbing them.
The most important thing is don't go out alone. These guys are predators.
Every time I hear about another child dying, it stabs me in the heart.
There's no community, no individual that is immune from this fentanyl crisis. Even our most successful, most wealthy individuals are falling prey.
CNN has now confirmed that the artist Prince is dead.
But I'm in shock. I still can't believe it.
When I first heard that Prince died, I got a phone call from my bosses at CNN, and I genuinely thought that they got it wrong.
Everyone was like, Prince is dead? We knew him for 1999, Purple Rain. He won 7 Grammy Awards. I mean, an icon was gone.
That's just such an awesome. I can't. I'm sorry.
It was utter disbelief. I'd interviewed Prince. I'd met him a couple of years earlier. He seemed like he was on the up and up, and there was no information. People were searching for answers.
What was interesting was less than a week before he died, Prince's plane landed as an emergency in Moline, Illinois.
He's got a medical for an unresponsive passenger.
Was it a male or female?
He was unconscious on the plane.
Prince was taken to a nearby hospital where he declined treatment and was subsequently released. He then flew back to Minneapolis. The following day, his representatives downplayed the incident, saying Prince had been sick with the flu.
The day after that emergency landing, he was tweeting, he had a little party. To the public, he seemed like he was fine. And then 5 days later, the unimaginable. Prince was found in an elevator, unresponsive, in Paisley Park. He was dead.
It's a sad day, definitely.
In the weeks after Prince's death, the news emerged that that emergency landing was not because he had the flu. It was because he had overdosed on an opioid and had to be revived with Narcan. And Narcan is an antidote used to reverse opioid overdoses.
We heard that he had some pain because he really taxed his body a lot in his performances.
Investigators began looking into whether or not Prince died from a drug overdose and if a doctor had actually been prescribing him this medication before his death.
His toxicology report came out within about 5 or 6 weeks.
The musician Prince died of an overdose, and that is now the official word. And the drug that killed him was called fentanyl. It's a pain medicine that is one of the strongest opioids on earth.
It was stunning to hear that it was fentanyl.
In the newsroom, we were all scratching our heads. What is fentanyl?
Before Prince's death from fentanyl, most people had never heard of it. Fentanyl was about to take hold of the country, but it wasn't coming out of nowhere.
Fentanyl has had a legitimate pharmaceutical use ever since its invention in the 1960s.
Fentanyl is used in the medical setting often, and it is an important drug. Sometimes there are painful procedures that patients need to go through. There are also people who are dying from terminal cancer, terminal disorders, people who struggle with chronic pain that is really, really hard to treat. And fentanyl can aid them in getting through that. But fentanyl is 50 times stronger than heroin, and it's 100 times stronger than morphine. I think that's what makes it so addictive.
The origins of the fentanyl epidemic are in the first wave of opioid abuse that occurred primarily starting in the 1990s with prescription painkillers. They were distributed so widely by pharmaceutical companies across the United States, and so that got an entire generation of American drug users hooked on these opioids. And when the US government began to crack down in the 2000s, it created a vacuum in the marketplace. Mexican drug traffickers recognized an opportunity and moved in with heroin coming across the border, produced in Mexico primarily. But soon, the cartel started adding fentanyl to the heroin in order to juice up its potency.
Fentanyl is relatively cheap, whereas heroin is expensive. Now you take a kilo of heroin and then add in a tiny bit of fentanyl and stretch it out for more profitability.
That really started this wave of the opioid crisis that we're in right now. Very quickly, it went from increased the strength of heroin to pure fentanyl. You had kilos coming across the southwest border.
Fentanyl was more addictive, easier to smuggle, cheaper to produce, and we saw this fentanyl epidemic really explode.
We are seeing more people killed because of opioid overdose than traffic accidents.
Bro, wake up.
The Mexican cartels, in particular Sinaloa, started buying fentanyl directly from China, pressing it into pills, and then they were selling it as if it was a known opioid, like something that would be made by a scientist in a laboratory, but it's not. It's a fake pill.
Check this out. One of these pills is actually oxycodone. The other one is a counterfeit one laced with fentanyl. Which one do you think is a real pill? If you had taken this one, you might be on your way to an overdose. This is how similar the pills look.
It was 2 years after Prince's death when the investigators released the findings of their probe.
Investigators found counterfeit Vicodin pills in his house. Counterfeit, not real. Vicodin was laced with fentanyl. So the question is, where did he get this stuff?
During the investigation, attention had turned to Prince's doctor. In surveillance footage hours before his death, Prince is seen walking into the doctor's office with his friend and bodyguard.
The doctor had made a prescription for Prince under his friend's name. It was his bodyguard's name, and that was done to protect Prince's privacy.
Then separate surveillance footage shows his bodyguard at a Walgreens picking up his prescription.
But ultimately, that prescription was not found to be a factor in Prince's death.
Prince's death put fentanyl on the map for many of us. But it wouldn't be long before another legend would be in the headlines.
So he's not breathing at all? Barely slightly breathing. He is, okay. Just monitor his breathing. I'll stay on the line with you until the paramedics get there, okay?
It's
Tom Petty was an iconic rock and roll star. He had so many hits like Free Fallin' and I Won't Back Down.
He had just finished a tour marking 40 years with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
But then a week after the tour ended, he died. The initial report said that he died of cardiac arrest. But a month later, the medical
First of all,
came out.
I told you on the last live that you can't be moderator.
Due to resuscitated pulmonary arrest due to mixed drug toxicity. And fentanyl and various forms of fentanyl are listed after that.
I heard that word fentanyl again. I was shocked. It didn't make sense.
Fentanyl was in his system. Also, oxycodone, which is a powerful opioid.
Autopsies reveal what's in your system at the time of death.